Welcome back to the Sure Sales Group Show, episode 39. And today I want to talk about advantages. It's really important to have an advantage before you make a financial decision. What's your advantage? Here on the show, we talk about real estate, sales, negotiation, marketing, entrepreneurship, buying, selling, renting, investing, and what it's taken us to grow from 2 employees to 20, from 30 million in sales to 130 million in sales in the last few years. Thanks for watching. So I was talking to a really smart financial mind, and he was asking me about kind of my investment philosophy and portfolio, and the Dow Jones is really high and everything's looking good. And the conversation kind of evolved into knowing what your advantage is. And he broke it down into 3 simple, powerful ways, and it made a lot of sense, so I want to share it with you today. He said, before you invest in anything, using your capital, your resources, before you deploy your assets into an investment, you should be very clear on what your advantage is and why you're doing it. And there's 3 types of advantages. There's an informational advantage, an analytical advantage, or a behavioral advantage. You want to at least have one of the 3 before you make a financial decision. So I thought about this over the last 2 months, and I realized that I don't have any advantages in the stock market, commodities, bonds, almost any asset class, but where myself and everyone here on the Sure Sales Group does have an advantage is in residential real estate. And I'm going to walk you through this, because think about anything you've ever invested in and if you've had one of these advantages. Number 1, informational advantage. Do you have information that no one else has, or that very few people have? Now, a lot of times that's called insider information. That's an illegal thing when you're trading a publicly traded security. I'm not talking about that, although that would be an informational advantage if you had insider trading knowledge. I'm talking about, do you have access to information that's not readily available to the public? In the real estate world, information is everywhere. You can go to Zillow and find, here's the last time it sold, and here's what the Zestimate is, which, oh, by the way, is not a Zactimate or a appraisal, but a value for the house. You can find out the acreage, the lot size, just about everything on all these websites. Everyone's got the information. But do you have any extra information that no one else has? We do. A good agent does, because you have access to the full-blown MLS. Some things we have access to is the micro market movements. So I know exactly what all the sellers are feeling and thinking in Canton right now versus Federal Hill versus Howard County versus Harford County. That's informational advantages that I have. Hey, did you know in this price point right now, because the data won't be published for 3, 4, 5 months, right now, between 300 and 400, you're going to be able to sell your house in less than 30 days if you live in these 3 sections of Baltimore County. No one knows that. So there's a lot of informational advantages we have and most good agents have. So a couple other ones, just examples that I came up with. We have local national builder sentiment. So what do these big national builders think and feel in our local market, in Greater Baltimore? What does the $8 billion Ryan Homes MVR Inc. have to say about how their home sales are going? These are publicly traded companies that won't publish the reports to become public until a quarter or 2 in the future. But we have, at the Sure Sales Group, direct lines of communication with the Lennars, the NVR Incs., the big national home builders, and what their millions and millions and millions of dollars of research say about our local markets. We have that because we have those relationships, which is an informational advantage in residential real estate. Another one would be just like current consumer confidence. What are all the buyers saying? What are all the sellers saying? These things are hard to interpret into raw data. That's an informational advantage. So we covered information. Hard to have an informational advantage in almost any sector. We have an informational advantage in the local Greater Baltimore residential real estate market. 2, analytical. Do you have an analytical advantage? Like Warren Buffett had an analytical advantage in dealing with the stock market. He could analyze these portfolios so well. He could read the financial statements. He could read the annual reports and these complex financial documents and analyze it better and pick undervalued stocks, cigar butts they call them, value investing. We can't do that for stocks and just about anything else, like I said, but we do have an analytical advantage in this market's residential real estate. And there's so much that goes into this. When we're not working with clients, when me and Joe and all the awesome agents on our team aren't physically in front of clients, we're analyzing data a lot of the time. What types of things are we analyzing? Because we invest a lot too, and some of our biggest clients are investors. They're asking us these questions. We better have good answers. What's the population growth look like in these different zip codes? What are the migratory patterns? They're not just for birds. People move too, and there's reasons why people move to different areas. Look at San Francisco and Austin, Texas, and these crazy hot markets. New York City. What are the migratory patterns and what causes them? What is the industry correlation to these migratory patterns? What happens if Port Covington doesn't get built? What happens if this Elon Musk Hyperloop does connect Baltimore to DC? What happens if Amazon does come here? You got to analyze that, and that's a combination of having public information and analyzing it better, but where you're really powerful if you have an informational advantage and an analytical advantage. If you have those two, you're going to make a lot of money, and if you don't, hire someone that does before you make a big decision, buying or selling a home. Third, perhaps most importantly, and certainly the most underrated in my opinion, is a behavioral advantage. Do you have a behavioral advantage in this arena? Meaning, can you divorce the emotion from the financial decision? And the efficient market hypothesis and all of the data surrounding Wall Street and the random walk down Wall Street and no one can pick stocks, you're better off just throwing darts, it's all been proven true. And the reason that is because human nature is, hey, the stock market's going up, up, up. Let's buy, 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 buy. Oh my God, everyone's making so much money. And they buy when the market's up. And then when the market goes down, they go, oh shit, I'm losing all my money. Sell, 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 sell. That's called buying high and selling low. And that's what everybody does because it's just human nature. Your brain is not designed to make good decisions. It's designed to keep you alive. Hey, everything's good. Maybe I should do this. Oh shit, things are bad. Sell, sell, sell. Which is actually the opposite of what you should do. Back to Warren Buffett. I got this in Omaha. This is a Chinese Warren Buffett cherry Coke can. He's a big cherry Coke drinker. He has a famous quote that says, when others are greedy, be fearful. And when others are fearful, be greedy, which is so counterintuitive and it's so hard to do, but that would be a behavioral advantage. So we have a behavioral advantage when assisting clients in buying real estate. I buy a lot of real estate, my partners buy a lot of real estate, a lot of our clients buy a lot of real estate, and the ones who are good, who buy low and sell high and don't freak out and don't get too emotionally tied up in their decision-making process, win, and they win big, and it's very hard to do. So when we're counseling first-time home buyers through a decision, I mean, these people are worrying. Oh my God, what if the furnace goes up? Oh my God, there was a spot on the ceiling in the inspection. This is terrible. The worry destroys their ability to make a good decision. So you have to build up that muscle and have a behavioral advantage as well. And it's just one type of advantage you could have when making an investment decision. So these three advantages, if you have one, you're probably doing pretty good. If you have two, that's excellent. If you have three, you're dangerous. You can really do some damage. So, I grew up in the 90s. I was born in 1987. One of my favorite movies growing up was The Three Ninjas. Anyone who's close to my age, I'm 30 now, knows the movie. And what the grandfather told the three boys, he said, never fight unless you know you can win. That's my correlation to never invest unless you know you have an advantage. Right? And if you don't, and you want to buy real estate, because most people do, if you're tired of renting, lighting the money on fire, if you want some of the tax benefits, if you want passive income, if you want cash flow, if you want appreciation, all these good things, if you want a place of your own, there's some utility there. Just the physical space of owning this thing is pretty awesome, taking advantage of low interest rates. If you want those things, and you don't feel like you have a strong advantage in one of these three, don't fight, because you might not win. But hire someone who does. And we work with buyers for free. Go back to episode 3. I talked about how agents get paid. If you're a buyer or you're thinking about renting or thinking about buying, whether it's a primary residence or an investment, call me up and we'll talk and we'll figure it out. Or someone on my team will help and figure it out. That's free. And if you're a seller, if you're about to liquidate probably your biggest asset, you need help even more. That costs money because the seller pays the commission. But a quote that's so true is, if you think hiring a professional is expensive, because it is, try hiring an amateur. It's going to cost you a lot more. If you're not navigating the waters, someone's going to come and just crack you. And you're going to freak out. Your emotions aren't going to be in check. You're not going to be able to analyze the data, what the hell's going on. And you're not even going to have the information unless you hire someone who's really good, who can help you with that. So that's all I have for 39. A couple other points I just wanted to make is around these types of things, and this can be with anything. These are like advantages. I'm using it in an investment side of things, particularly through a real estate lens, but you can use this with anything. Before you take a job, before you do anything, you need to have a process for your decision making. I'm not going to go into that, but just think about it. Before you make a decision, there should be a set of criteria that you go through so you're not emotionally pulling the trigger too soon. Have a process for your decision making. 2 is ask yourself better questions. So if you're thinking about buying a house, ask yourself better questions. Not like, I wonder what I could get this house for. Say, hey, I wonder if I set the terms my way and give him the price he wants, but I get my terms, I can do this in the right time frame so I can get the loan I want, so my monthly payment's really low. Then 2 years later, I'll be able to rent it on conventional financing, primary residence terms, and have it as an investment property. That was probably too much of a response, but ask yourself better questions. And what that means is think. Do the hard work of thinking. People think that's an easy task. Thinking hard about something, that's like wears you out. You can't do it all day. So ask yourself better questions. You're walking around every day asking yourself questions, you don't realize it. So just think better. Ask yourself better questions. 3, find a way to mitigate risk. Have an advantage. Mitigate risk. Risk mitigation is huge. A lot of people are get famous because, oh my God, what a risk taker, what a crazy entrepreneur. But the best ones, yeah, they take risks, but they're asymmetric. They take a little bit of risk for a lot of reward. Give yourself a chance to get rich. All this 401k, SEP IRA, that's all great stuff. Who wants to be rich when they're 80? Don't you want to be rich when you're like 30 or 40? The big way to do it is not to lose money. Warren Buffett, again, 2 rules. Rule number 1, don't lose money. That's a famous rule from Warren Buffett. Just don't lose the money and you'll be pretty good. Rule number 2, that's it. Just follow rule number 1, don't lose the money. And then 4th, when you're playing in any arena, again, we're talking about residential real estate, you have to understand the entire ecosystem. It's not this one simple little thing you have to focus on. Like, okay, here's the inventory. Let's go look at it. No, you need to know the inventory. You need to know the month's supply of inventory per price point, per area. You need to know the velocity. How fast are they selling? What's the days on market? What's the absorption rate? How many houses sell within a specific period of time and how many new ones come on the market? Closely tied in with MSI, but it's different. You need to know the rent volume. What's the demand for rent? Mitigate the risk. Shit, if I move and I don't want to live here, can I rent it? What can I rent it for? What are the taxation? What does that look like? What are my property taxes? What's my current income? How are my tax deductions going to impact me? What if the state and local policy changes? These are all informational things and analytical things you can use when you're buying a house. Employment outlook. There's reports every day in every state about the employment outlook, which directly impacts real estate. And it impacts all these things. If the employment outlook looks great and people are moving to the area, inventory goes down, supply goes down, velocity goes up. It's a great time to own a place. Maybe that's when I call you and say, hey, I know you were thinking about moving because you were smart and kept an open line of communication with me. Maybe we should think about selling. I could probably sell your house off the market, reduce the commission, get you a huge fat nut, and you can go on with your life. Or buy 5 more properties of cash flow and quit your job. That's all I have for today. I know I threw a lot at you, but it's important to have an advantage. Don't fight unless you know you can win. Don't invest unless you have an advantage. And if you have any thoughts about buying a home this year or selling a home, or you know someone who does, your brother, friend, sister, coworker, I'd love the opportunity to apply for the job to help them out. Until next time, thanks for watching. Oh, by the way, I talked a lot about investing and the different things you can invest in. I want to clarify one thing. When I say investing, it doesn't have to be financial. A formula for investing that I subscribe to is that investing equals allocating resources to improve your quality of life. I'm going to say it again. Investing equals allocating resources to improve your quality of life. So it could be money, it could be time, it could be energy. Like you invest your time and energy into working out because it's going to improve your quality of life. You invest money into residential real estate so you can rent it so you have passive income and cash flow that'll increase your quality of life because you get checks without working. So you can play with that, but think about what you're investing in, what advantages you have, and I think it'll be a helpful exercise. Ask yourself better questions and think a bit harder about real estate. Thanks.